Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Discussions, where we talk movies, music, and everything in between. My name is Adrian, aka Move Mantis, and we're here finally, once again, with my co-host.
Hey, I'm Daniel, aka Rated DG13, and I might have a little bit of a sniffle, but I thought I'd just rip the band-aid off because it had been a while, and I got, I got one window that, I was able to just kind of offload, work and studying, and I was just like, you know what, we got to do another one because I'm not gonna lie. So this is another Kanye triple album review. I'm not gonna lie, I was not crazy excited to do another 3 Kanye episodes. Pretty much only because I think that was I think that's my least favorite episode. We don't get much feedback on or at least I haven't
so we
seen
just kind of have
much.
to make our own reviews of our own episodes.
Yeah, but I struggle a lot more with music. No matter how much I love music, it's I don't talk about it as much as movies, or I don't have as much of an in-depth knowledge on how things are made, or at least how sounds gel with me beyond just kind of how I feel. So it was kind of hard for me to be motivated on top of being busy to do another fumble through an episode. But I'm not saying that this was at all a real difficult one to get through. I'm a lot more interested in what Adrian has to say because he's a much bigger fan, and I always enjoy hearing people talk about things that they're pretty passionate about, and yeah, I'll try to give as much feedback as I can regardless.
Yeah, don't worry. The next 3 will be that'll make you the fan. That'll make you the super fan, I swear. Next 3 after this one. Which I do want to do at some point, because he's just got such a distinctive discography, in my opinion. But I'll try to space it out a lot. That won't be for a while. We'll try to take a long break from him for a little while. But we might end up talking about him again, because I don't know if you know, but we're recording this a little bit before his newest album's coming out, Bully. Yeah, that'll be coming out soon, which is his first since Donda, and Donda was... Well, no, he did the 2 Vultures between Donda and this other one, but the Vultures is more of a collaborative album with him and that other guy. I forgot his name.
Was there a Donda 2, or was that a deluxe edition?
There was, but I don't even know if I would really call that an album, mainly because 1, he shadow dropped it, and 2, it was dropped before, but it was dropped right after Donda, and it was exclusive to his weird Wi-Fi MP3 player that was $300 that you could only get off his website. And so that album, I put that in quote, album is... I don't even know what it really is. I guess it is a Donda sequel, but it just sounds it still just sounds very unfinished, and he's just well, this is as much as I'm gonna work on this, so I'm just gonna drop it now, But yeah, his newest one coming out soon, so we may be talking about him sooner rather than later. But we'll cross that bridge when that comes. But yeah, just on the topic, I recommended these 3 albums. This is considered progressive Kanye. This is him first stepping out of those first 3 kind of classic Kanye albums, the soul and the soul sampling, and kind of drifting out of that. And these are the 3 albums that start to kind of build the building blocks to what eventually will become his distinctive sound.
Right. So, I guess we'll start off with 808s and Heartbreaks. If you can,
Yes.
kind of sum that up in like a sentence. How would you describe the overarch, like the theme of that one?
Sad boy. sad boy. Because he's making this not only right after his major success with those first 3 albums, but after a very tumultuous point in his life. At the time, he had a fiance he'd been going out with and engaged to for a long time. Not only did they cut it off, but shortly after they cut it off, I believe, his mother unfortunately passed away. Someone that, if you listen to any of his music, is a big force, big presence, and ironically still is. I mean, I just talked about how Donna came out back in 2020, and he named that after his mother, and that was 13 years after this one. So even now, his mom is still a big part of his life, and he still uses it a lot in his music. So yeah, this is sad Kanye. He's very sad right now. And I think that really shows in the tracks, not only in the kind of names and what he sings about, but just how they sound. Especially at the time, when does this come out? 2008? Singing a whole lot of like stuff like this, like sad rap, opposed to what we know now of guys like like XXXTentacion, for example.
Right. Yeah.
That is kind of like I wouldn't say a big thing right now, but was at one point, a couple years ago, even back in like 2016. I feel like that's when like X and SoundCloud rappers and a lot of those guys started to blow up. And I think they actually owe a lot of that sound to this album in particular. This 808s and Heartbreak.
And I would say that like similar to the first 3 albums that we did, it did encapsulate that early 10s era a lot, and like all the good and the bad stuff that kind of reminded me of like, because I didn't properly get into rap until maybe when I was like in my teens, like 2016 or 17, and like I guess if hip hop was on, it was like fine, but like I never seeked it out. And like about half of like the experience of listening to this one, and I suppose all of these, but like not without a decent amount of like good songs for sure. It was kind of just reminding me of like why I wasn't interested in like it for so long. And yeah, so I guess with 808 and Heartbreaks, it is the more emotionally resonant of the 3 albums, and I'll try not to get too far into how I feel about the other 2, but content-wise, there was a sharp contrast of like how this kind of started out the listening experience, and like where the rest of it went and then kind of stayed in. So yeah, I guess so the opening is like pretty good. It kind of has like I picture like Pong when I listen to that like beat.
Yeah, and you really hear that electronic beat he's starting to use.
Yeah.
In the voice filters that he will eventually use for basically most of his rest of his discography. You start hearing a lot of that in this, really.
And yeah, the auto-tune, I could see how that like took many people aback, especially to like the classy, sunny sounding songs that he made for the College trilogy, which there were like little bits and pieces of that kind of like auto-tuning in the last was it Graduation, the one with the bear?
Yeah.
Or, the colorful one.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, this one basically just kind of went all in on that sound though, and depending on who you are, you'll either love it or you hate it, especially since there isn't as much of a focus on rapping as there is just him kind of like, you know, singing like soulfully, you know, as soulfully as you can with auto-tune on. And you know, like, I love Daft Punk. Like, I have nothing against auto-tune itself. I love that quote from Bjork where she said, people who say that synthesizers have no soul, like, a synthesizer is just like any other tool or instrument. It's like, if, you know, you can hear someone play the guitar without soul, you know, but it all depends on the person who's actually utilizing it in order for it to be effective. And I would say more than half the time, I would agree that he utilizes it in a way where he keeps the music decently engaging, not quite not like distractingly dour to where it's like it was a chore to listen to, but also not too impactful for me personally beyond lyrically, where I would really like kind of replay all these songs. I do think that there is a sincerity to this album that supersedes the auto-tune, and for the kind of dated within the same field of like a Black Eyed Peas song, it felt just like a high-end like Black Eyed Peas album a lot of the time, where it was like where it's like, yeah, like I was on the cusp of like kind of like feeling like a cynical kind of old man, where it's like, oh, music these days, it's all just like auto-tune and like, you know, like kind of that attitude where it was like there's something good here, but like I don't know if he had to be auto-tuned like the entire time. Like I think it does just come down to like how good of a singer he is, and you know, these are his words and his feelings, and of course he's going to express that, and he was trying something different for himself, but he just didn't have quite the chops for this particular kind of sound that he was going for, so he just kind of felt like he had to do auto-tune. And I suppose, you know, auto-tune that's like in key for the most part is better than like, you know, just kind of a less well-sung album. Past that, it just kind of comes down to preferences in sound, beyond just like kind of objective like qualities.
And I think the auto-tune really goes well with a lot of the electronic beats he has on this. It kind of matches up with those, I think, very well, especially in something that's supposed to be very like low-toned and, like I said earlier, kind of sad and just tumultuous. Like, he's in this kind of crazy place at this time in his life, and maybe I can maybe think maybe the heavy electronic is really meant to seen as kind of fake. Like, that's how he feels maybe in his life. It just feels fake and, you know, robotic after having all these kind of things rip his heart out, you know?
Right, yeah.
And I mean, that goes with this, how all the songs, like, there's no hype songs, you know? It's all very, again, low tone and a bit depressing sometimes. And even something like Heartless, which is probably the most upbeat sounding song, is still like, oh, it's still about this, like, you know, terrible person who does whatever she wants and kind of just gets away with it without having to apologize or really be sorry about it. And then when that's like the most upbeat sounding song on here, you know, it makes a little bit more sense to me why he's using the autotune, is to express this kind of lowly, robotic feelings that he's having, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. You know, Welcome to Heartbreak, I did think that was a lot closer in relatability compared to what I remember from the College trilogy, or at least since then, that one was pretty interesting, and a look into like this window of time where he did pretty much have it all as far as making it as a celebrity. Like he had reached that, but like he's, you know, hearing about all of his friends who are like you know, celebrating all these things about like getting married and like doing things with their family, and you know, he's just talking about like, well, I, you know,
I got my
bought a
mansion
yacht.
at least, you know. Yeah.
Yeah. And like obviously like that's still a world apart from like us, but you know, that speaks to me, like being at that point in life where it's like these, you know, friends and family who like come in and out of our lives for like a few months in between. It feels like so much has changed, and it's like, oh, you're already kind of like become a normal person, I guess. And
Yeah.
meanwhile we're still just like, yeah, like we're wondering like how that could have happened without like you kind of have these false expectations growing up, because it's kind of that post-school mindset where it's like, oh yeah, we kind of just move on to the next grade together, and then you move out of school and it's like, oh, now we're all at our own pace, and yeah, half the time it's like dealing with stuff that, you know, we have to deal with, that just, you know, we got our own priorities straight, and the other half it's like, you know, we kind of just focus on bullshit half the time, you know.
Yeah.
And it can get in the way of like, man, you know, maybe I could have had this by now, but you know, I just wanted the new gold pack in a Fortnite or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't play Fortnite. but materialism filling that hole, and like not realizing that, oh, I hadn't even thought of like getting this part of my life straightened out, because I've been focusing on like all my like.
I think it's also the fact that he, like you said, he had a lot of that stuff already, and kind of that old adage of, you know, you don't really appreciate something until you lose it, and having it taken away from you makes you realize how much that thing was actually important of, and kind of like what you were saying, how he knew all these other people who had families and all that, and now his kind of chance at that was gone. I think really kind of encapsulates that song, and the name "Welcome to Heartbreak," which is, you know, introducing the, you know, shitty part of life when you lose people, either by dying or when people just leave your life.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, it's pretty. Yeah, interesting knowing that now, how like there can be such a like oh, is it too late for me kind of song, like comparing it to like where he's at now, and you know, like it is kind of wild how like I mean, on one hand, like, yeah, I suppose it's, you know, it's never too late, you know, to attain something like that, but you know, like is a whole set of, it's just kind of interesting how like, you know, your perspective can change in life, how like these kind of simple things that are pretty universal to the human experience, like it can feel like, oh, you know, am I abnormal for not having that, and then like like in a flash, like, oh, like we're way past that, and like we have a whole new set of problems. Like that's like that's like the last thing on my mind is like starting to get that, because now I do, and that's like way in the, you know, like I'm not gonna pretend like I know anything about his like family life, how like you know, how well he's kind of raised his kids, or like maintains relationships with like, you know, all the, you know, crazy stuff he does beyond like just, you know, his own family circle. But yeah, I mean, it is pretty wild, like going back to this point in time where it just kind of felt like yeah, that was like out of the cards for him, having a kind of a I don't want to say normal family experience, but just you know, having one of his own.
Yeah, because if I remember correctly, he was with his girlfriend or fiance or whatever, like mostly throughout those first 3 albums, and when he was mainly just producing stuff, and they were together for like a really long time. So yeah, to have that like kind of again just ripped away from you, I mean, that's what this whole album is about. Just a lot of love, you know, or I guess I should say like lost love kind of feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you know, we talked a lot about the themes and like kind of what he's saying on the album. But I also feel like, well, that's, I think, probably the best part. I think some of the songs can get kind of saming sound.
Mm-hmm.
And I am also just not a huge fan of the electronic drums on here. Uses them in a lot of these songs, and I think some parts they worked. Like I liked them in like Love Lockdown. That's one of my favorite songs, and I think was the first or second single off this album. And I love them in that. But then something like, I don't know, like RoboCop, just kind of the overuse of them and the, I don't know how to say, but I guess generic sounding sound of those drums just don't, I think, sound well or mesh very well with some of these beats, and kind of brings down some of these beats that he made for some of these, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah, that was the one I was referencing earlier when I was talking about the Black Eyed Peas sound, like the drop it part.
Yeah.
That's like, that's will.i.am. That's
yeah. But again, he just gets this good, I think, theme of like just sadness and loss, and some of it is like angry, honestly, and kind of vindictive, so, like Heartless or you know, something like that, which is more aggressive towards the person who did you wrong, opposed to maybe like something like Streetlights, which is a little more reflective and sorrowful, I think.
Yeah, it was kind of reminding me of Flashing Lights, kind of like the other side of that coin, whereas like Flashing Lights felt like sonically I picture like, you know, driving in a limo and like kind of seeing the sights of the city is all the, you know, kind of like, you know, like kind of on your way to like a prom or something.
Yeah.
And Streetlights, it was kind of like falling asleep in a car, and like the lyrics were like kind of acceptably repetitive in a way where it's like this, it was kind of like relaxing, and like it does feel like like streetlights like coming in and out of the window and just kind of like lulling you, but not in a boring way. I quite like that one.
Yeah, it's definitely one of my favorites off this. But I think this biggest thing I don't like is just what I said earlier, just the same soundness of a lot of it. I feel like, or even just the non-ambitiousness, I guess, of it. You know, unless I'm wrong, he doesn't really sample anything in a lot of these. At least nothing super notable that I remember. And again, it's very low toned and again, just saming sounding.
Yeah,
like Amazing is very. It's an alright song, but it doesn't really, I think, go out there, or it's very repetitive. Or even I didn't say this about Say You Will, but though I like that song, I feel like you could have also cut out the last like 2 minutes. So the last like 2 minutes is just the repeating of this, you know, decent beat and decent sound. Just it's not really evolving, or you're not really adding too much or doing more with it. So why kind of just have this like 2-minute outro? And I feel like a couple of the songs are like that, where there's just this long minute at the end where it's just boom, 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 repeating the beat, which is nice, but the beat's not good enough to repeat for a whole like 2 minutes or minute after.
Yeah, it's a problem that was particularly highlighted with this trilogy compared to the college one, where it's like, I think Kanye is kind of terrible at pacing, especially like an entire album. where it's like I really don't mind a lot of the musical ideas that he has, but like he'll just like turn them like 4, 5, 6, 9 minutes like for no reason. And depending on the kind of person you are, I have plenty of artists that I am totally fine like listening to for like 10-minute songs of like I like Daft Punk doesn't make crazy long songs often. They do have like quite a few, but like they do have that one idea that they evolve as it goes on, which is the most important thing with a long song. But then there are people that like admittedly I'll be like, Dead Mouse, like sometimes it really is just like a section that I just really, really like, and I can, have that on and kind of soak myself up into, and it just kind of clicks with me. But I suppose when it comes to like lyrical albums like this that have a concept that they're trying to explore, I want that concept to be explored, and it's one thing to like the song, but it's another thing to just kind of like pad it just because you kind of like it. And that was probably the biggest weakness with especially the second album, but we'll get into that later. But
after this,
but I mean, like, even like there's so many good albums that prove that like there's one by an artist called Tierra Whack called Whack World, and it was just like a 15-minute album. All songs were like 1 minute long, and some of them do leave you wanting more, and other ones are like good for a minute. And like that's a great short little like album that, especially compared to some of her other songs, it's kind of no wonder why that's my favorite one from her, because her longer songs are typically like, she has like a good idea that doesn't really grow past that one idea. And like she doesn't have like super long like songs, but like it is kind of interesting that that 15-minute album was able to highlight not only her strengths, but like I feel like a lot of albums, and honestly even movies, should strive for, which is like saying what you need to say, and kind of cutting out all the guff, because there's so many. I'm gonna go quick tangent, but like there's so many good like concepts for movies, or movies that aren't great but would otherwise be fun, but for whatever reason like they feel the need to like be an hour, like 2 hours and like 20 minutes or more, for like no reason. And I'm just thinking about all like how people talk about the like Godzilla movies like that have been coming out and like progressively get dumber and dumber. It's like that would be totally fine if they were like 90 minutes. Like I would genuinely be more into them if they were just shorter, because that's as long as those ideas can really keep a reasonable amount of attention for, because like they don't have any like great ideas worth exploring beyond just like, oh, here's the new design of a monster that they're gonna fight this time. And that's just kind of how I feel about these albums, particularly the later two, where it's just like you definitely have good ideas, but there's just like no reason like that these have to be like 5 minutes.
I think that's something we're gonna be repeating for the most part, especially the next couple albums, like you said, just too long. Get ready to hear us say too long a lot. But
that's
I think overall it's still pretty solid, and even influential, like I said, like a lot of 2016 SoundCloud rappers, and even just a lot of these again like sad boy trap rappers really attribute a lot of their sound to this album in particular.
So,
and though it doesn't have any super strong points in my opinion, there's still some good, really quality songs on here.
I guess some highlights for me would be Heartless, Welcome to Heartbreak. Paranoid has a good beat drop, and Streetlights. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would say those are probably my highlights too. Streetlights, Heartless, Say You Will, and even though I did criticize RoboCop earlier, I still liked the song. Still thought that was pretty good, and yeah, I think that's all I have to say about this one here.
Yeah, so definite standouts, but I would be happy if I never heard Pinocchio's story again.
Yeah, that was a weird one. That's probably the biggest example of like I liked the lyrics, but the way he kind of went about presenting it was like I think I'd rather have just heard this recorded in an actual like studio.
Yeah, but like oh man, that's where maybe that was maybe like the biggest culprit for like overstaying its welcome, in my opinion, for
Yeah.
this album. But yeah, I would return to a few songs from this, but
Yeah.
not quite excited to sit through the entire thing again. So I would give it like a 6, but again, take that with a grain of salt, because I'm just not that huge into Kanye or like, and like I didn't even have like all the context of like his life at this time, so I'm sure that adds a lot to the listening experience. So just kind of know that coming from me, like going forward, is that I have like the least amount of knowledge of like the context that would make these albums a lot more interesting. But yeah, just kind of going off of it, like I think an above average score is fair for how I felt about it.
Oh yeah, and don't feel too bad because I'm giving it the same score, 6 out of 10. Mainly for just all the reason I said. Nothing too great or popping out to me, really. I think just the crowning jewel is like Heartless, which is the biggest single off this album. But yeah, I mean the background does help, but background can't make up for actual music making preferences and tastes. So yeah, 6 out of 10 for me as well.
Yeah, so I guess we'll be moving on to My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, and yeah.
Oh yeah, the how do I say this? The maybe possibly up there for most overrated album maybe thing ever. I don't think I'm gonna come out with too many controversial takes on this one, but My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy kind of comes out not right after, but a couple years after this one, and this is the point where he's like starting to do the really extreme stuff. I believe this was also after the VMA thing with Taylor Swift.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this was like a little bit after that, or he started working on it a little bit after that. And I think main thing for this is like ambition, or like what's the word?
I would say.
Damn, I can't
hubris
think
is
of the
pretty
word. What's the word?
appropriate for
Yeah,
this.
like pretentiousness.
Yeah.
Pretentiousness is definitely with this album, because he was definitely that was a big thing, man. Even before I was super into Kanye, like when that incident happened, like I knew about it. Like everybody knew about it. That was like a big thing. Probably like his second biggest controversy thing he's done, besides maybe the most recent stuff, and the George Bush incident. It's crazy too to think about it. Like at the time, that's the worst thing he had done at that point. Yeah, I'm posting now, but yeah. I gotta say, man, there's things on this one that I love, that are some of my favorite music songs and instrumentals I've ever heard in my life, and songs that really resonate with me personally. And yeah, just things I really, really enjoy. but then there are also just fucking things that are songs or tracks that are just immensely hard to get through, especially listening to this album multiple times. My main experience was really, oh man, that was really good. This is great, man. So amazing. Such great beat making and lyrics and instrumentals. To God, I just want the song to be over. I just want this to stop. Please stop this. Please move on, please. And then for every one song of that, then you get to the next one. It's like, oh wow, this was maybe kind of sort of worth the wait. And then you're back to like, fuck, dude, like, just not everything needs to be 5 minutes or more. Some of it I think is deserved, and a lot of it is not at all.
Yeah, it was
like I think this first like back-to-back intro is like fucking great, from dark fantasy, gorgeous, power, all the lights. Even though like All the Lights itself is like a 5-minute song, every time I listen to that, I feel the need to listen to the interlude first, because I think both of those together make one really good big experience, and is actually 6 minutes that's worth it. And then once you start getting to like the latter half, stuff like Monster or So Appalled or Blame Game or Hell of a Life, it's just droning on and on and on, especially with some of the features on this just going on and just not sounding good and not adding anything, and in some cases I think really takes away from certain songs.
As much as I got a kick out of like some of these songs that like I'm not gonna lie, like I heard most of these pretty exclusively for memes for like half of my life.
Oh yeah.
But as they went on, like, unlike 808s and Heartbreaks, I think it gets a lot more grading a lot quicker, even though there isn't as much like auto-tune. Like, I do appreciate that he is kind of back to his strengths in rapping. But content wise, I just find most of it to be like kind of boring douchebag music. And like again, like you said, like some of the best instrumentals are just paired with like some of the most like lame kind of shallow lyrics. And like, I'm not above listening to a rapper's lifestyle, like just for shits and giggles, and like, like if it has a good beat, like I'm okay with that carrying it, even if I don't like emotionally connect to it. If you're just like funny enough, you can hold my attention. But honestly, I don't think this really holds a candle to anything from the Graduation era personally, in that regard. Even though like the music is still generally good, it's just like honestly, for as good as Power and Gorgeous and Dark Fantasy are, by the time I like get to All of the Lights, I am just kind of like, I feel like I've seen this entire album's hand at that point. And it wasn't until Monster where I was like at least like taken aback by like, because I didn't realize like Nicki Minaj was on this. I forget that like she's been around for like over a decade.
Oh yeah, like 20 years almost at this point, if not more.
Yeah, it's I'm still getting used to like the 10s being over a decade away, and like this album is like 16 years this year. And like her feature on a Monster was just like so wild and like goofy that like, while it wasn't like a hype moment, I guess, like I really don't care about Nicki Minaj, I just wasn't expecting that to appear here, but I suppose it is appropriate. I just think she's kind of inherently funny, not really like comedy wise, just like I think she's kind of a joke. And that was significantly more amusing than like most of what had been like
any of the
discussed
other
beforehand on like
features
the
on
songs.
that track specifically too. I'd say really, because it sucks because hers I believe is at like the very end. But you got to sit through the Jay-Z feature, which was okay, and then the Rick Ross one is just like you were not adding to this really at all. You were just kind of saying the same thing, just in a slightly different way. And that's, I'd say, Monster is probably the biggest accuser, or like the biggest example of too much, too long.
Yeah.
Because that whole time, just back to back, you have that and So Appalled, which is also just kind of the same thing. Like, oh, this is a decent beat, and Kanye himself has a good, section, little good bars, but everybody else just really doesn't add too much, and especially So Appalled has 5 different other guys featured on that track, and you could have easily cut out most, if not all of them, and you wouldn't really lose much from the song. And I feel like that's the point of features, is for other artists to add things to whatever you're making, and that is just not the case with either of those, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I will say, by the time we do get to Devil in a New Dress, that one actually was a good throwback sound.
It's a good, like, it's like, again, you're suffering through these 2 songs, right, that are combined like 13 minutes long, and you just, at least me, I was sitting there just like waiting and waiting and waiting for these songs to be over, and then you get to Devil in a New Dress and it's like boom, which I think is, like you said, not only a good return to kind of form, at least a bit of a classic Kanye sound with the Smokey Robinson sample.
Yeah.
But man, like, it's just such a good, like, chocolate coated strawberry after just eating piles of shit for like 13 minutes. Like, holy shit. It, like, once you listen to it, the album through, and you get to those high points are just so high, because not only do you have, Devil in a New Dress, but then you have Runaway like right after it, which is I think the longest song on here. I believe it is, but I think that length is mostly deserved. Just the musical idea of running, the picking up and then the slow wind down at the end. I do not mind the length of this song, especially how much I listen to it. But then once you're out of that, you get to maybe the worst last 4 songs in any Kanye album, probably, in my opinion.
This is where I struggle to have anything to say about it, because I just like they're just long. That's all I remember about them. They're just long, and I'm sorry that I mean, Kanye's one of Kanye's like best things of all time. Like maybe like top 2 albums, unless I'm like forgetting something else, but Kids See Ghosts, that's short as hell, and that's amazing, because it's just constant, like, great idea after another, doesn't overstay its welcome, says everything it wants to, and leaves a massive impression on you. And I think if there were just like 0 songs over 5 minutes on this album, I could probably see it a lot more. But even then, like, Hell of a Life onward, it's still not that particularly, interesting to me, as far as like what he's actually rapping about. So it makes the length of those like so much worse than the pacing was on 808s and Heartbreaks, and just great ideas, but like music wise, but I really just don't care about anything that he's talking about, and that just isn't sustainable for upwards of 5 minutes per song.
Yeah, especially that. And I get that it's supposed to be like this album about the things that you think to do, or the things that you do that are sinful and all, selfishly encompassing, the drinking and the sleeping with multiple women and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, a lot of it just comes off as boisterous, or especially in this last little 4 songs, especially the last two, just come off as just like bitching and moaning and complaining. Especially those last 2 songs, where he's just complaining about like the government in America, but not in something like, he's always been like kind of an advocate, or viewed or said he's the kind of person to say things that people don't want to say out loud, right? And he's done that in his previous albums and even in his newest ones. But especially here, it really just comes off as just fucking complaining, not really saying anything smart or interesting about it, just like
kind of acknowledging,
fucking bitching and moaning. Yeah,
but like it's even worse here because like obviously there are like tons and tons of like incredible rap albums that are like politically charged and are like fantastic for saying what essentially is at the core of that song, but like it just is not earned here whatsoever because none of the entire album has like anything to do with this, and it's just like, oh well, this is something on my mind, I suppose. And it's like, I mean, there are plenty of albums that like aren't like any one thing either, that can just be one aspect of like a song or an album about your life and your interests and your fears and stuff, and that's totally fine. But like when the album is like only one thing for like 99% of it, and then you get to the very end, it does feel like just like just a completely unearned, like, oh, but this was all important actually. Like, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that was not a great move on as far as like album sequencing goes.
Yeah, no, most definitely. It's very front loaded in my opinion, and I think why people kind of covet it so much is because the high points are actually, I think, really high. It just gets diluted by the low points, which are just extremely below, like just bad in some cases, in my opinion. We go from, like I said, some of the greatest samplings and beats and bars and themes to just the most like uninteresting, unearned. You're just not saying anything. You're not, saying anything clever or saying something smart about a topic or an issue. You're just complaining.
And like it's it's particularly rich because like isn't that like super dark politically like charged song like right after the Chris Rock one?
Yeah, I think
like,
so.
It's like and that goes on for so long too. Like,
yeah,
I'm okay with like because there were skits in like what was it, Late Registration? What was the second one? That was the one
yeah, that was Late Registration.
Yeah, that one had a ton of skits, and those were it fit the tone of the album, and they obviously they're like objectively skippable as far as like not being important to the overall thing, but like they weren't nearly as hard to sit through on like my first few listens, just because it was like it was just amusing, and like it wasn't like this whole like this one, it's like one joke too, like with that whole Chris Rock thing just being like Yeezy taught me.
yeah,
it's like amusing to hear like Marty the Zebra for like a second on a Kanye album, and then like it just like everything else, like it just wears off like so quickly because they just have nothing else to say.
It's like I had a good idea, and to make me sound smart or like artistic, it has to be really long.
Yeah.
And again, something like Runaway earns its runtime, which a lot of these don't. Runaway has kind of more to say and more artistically to express, opposed to Monster or even fucking Blame Game, which is like almost 8 minutes long.
Yeah, well, I guess to avoid falling in the trap that we're saying about this one, just saying a lot without talking about very much within the content of it. I've kind of said everything I need to say about it. You have any other thoughts?
Yeah, no. I mean, that was really it. It just sucks to see a lot of potential in this, and things that do sound good and are good ideas, and work with what he was trying to do, but so much of it really just doesn't. And high, like I said, highs are high, lows are extremely, unbelievably intolerable lows. I'd say the highlights for me are definitely Devil in a New Dress and Runaway. I think that's some of his best stuff he's ever made, honestly.
Yeah, I gotta agree with Devil in a New Dress. That one's probably top 5 songs that he's made.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Oh yeah, one more thing. Another fun time capsule is like that line about like, don't get scammed by Donald Trump. It's like,
yeah, there's a lot of lines that are. That's the other thing I'll give this. There's a lot of funny lines. Like this was very recently after the whole South Park thing when they made fun of him the first time. And he's got a funny line about that, or a funny bar in Gorgeous that I really like. That I always think of when I think about this album.
Every now and then, like some definite like laugh out loud lyrics. I like That's Why Your Wind's Low, or like the Urkel reference. That's amusing.
Yeah.
But again, it's just nowhere near as consistent as the last or the Graduation trilogy in particular, and it's not as emotionally engaging or as sonically interesting enough to warrant its runtime. So
or any of the praise it gets, really, honestly.
Yeah. So I think for those reasons, and let me clarify, there are definite great songs on here, but for my taste, even some of the better ones, not all of them, but some of the better ones, don't quite entice me to like return to independently. So I think honestly this is a 5 out of 10 for me.
Oh man. All right, okay, yeah, no. I'm gonna be a little nicer, just because I just enjoy Devil in a New Dress and Runaway so much, and not only do I think they're 2 of his best tracks that he's ever made, but they're some of my favorite songs personally. I would probably give this 7 out of 10, just because, like I said, those highs are so high. But I feel like if those songs weren't on here, I definitely would be more of a 6. But just for the sole fact that Devil in a New Dress is so good, I gotta give it at least a 7.
Yeah, it's mainly
for me.
The album experience for me is a 5.
Yeah.
The songs are like there are at least 3 that are like 9s and 10s. So like Devil in a New Dress, that's a 10. Power's a 9. Gorgeous and Dark Fantasy are 9s. Like there are great songs on a middling album experience. So yeah, that's that's how I feel about it. So
yeah, well, that was I think that was the hard one, really, or the I guess I should say most controversial one to get through, but we do have one more after this one, and that is going to be Watch the Throne from 2011, which is his first big collaboration album with one of his longtime collaborators and known Epstein associate, Jay-Z.
Yeah, I was wondering if I was mixing him up with someone else, but yeah.
Yeah, no. That was, granted, that is a recent development, but still.
I suppose anything could happen at this point, but like if the whole Epstein stuff gets like cleared up and everyone but Kanye was in there, That would be the funniest thing.
Yeah, that would be pretty hilarious.
Only in retrospect, it's a sickening situation.
Oh,
but
yeah.
as far as like just the boisterous, like overt like shit that Kanye consistently gets himself into, like that if that's like the one thing that like he has no involvement in, that's just darkly funny to me.
Yeah, just total universally ironic.
Like it makes his beautiful dark twisted fantasy vanilla by comparison.
Yeah, right.
It's like nothing. It's like, oh, I like anal. Times changing, old man.
Yeah. If you're not flying to rich people islands, that shit ain't dark.
Anywho,
so yeah,
what's this called?
Watch
the Throne.
Watch the Throne. Watch it. Because I don't know. Because they're the kings, I guess. I believe. But yeah, his first big collab album, one with a longtime collaborator, and this is probably the most, I want to say, unsubstantive of these three albums.
Yeah, lyrically, for
but
sure.
I found it the probably easiest to listen to all the way through. I don't know about you.
Yeah,
but...
I'm exactly on the same page, because like after the complete slog of the second half of the beautiful fantasy, like, I mean, right off the bat, like, honestly, Frank Ocean is like such a like breath of fresh air.
Oh yeah.
And like such a like he only like brings songs up, like even at his worst. Like he's such a, like, again, I wasn't expecting him a lot like Nicki Minaj. Like they're kind of these like rap circles that I wasn't aware were that close to each other. And this is like Odd Future era, you know, like he wasn't that massive at that time. It was like before his big album, right? Channel Orange.
I believe so.
Yeah, so I mean that certainly helped him get recognition, and like he's, you know, one of my favorite artists of all time, and like, you know, he can do both for sure. Unlike Kanye, he can rap and sing and like bring so much soul to it. So it kind of elevates like what isn't that crazy of it isn't that like mind blowing like lyrically of an opener, which a lot of my favorite rap albums will have like it's not always just about hype. It's like, you know, you want to like paint the picture of what you're in for, and this certainly does that accurately. Mood, you know? But like when you kind of get the idea, like, oh, okay, so it's another like one of these albums. It's kind of a polarizing feeling of like, oh, this sounds great, but like, do I want to sit through this like again? And and it turns out, like, honestly, this is one of the better paced ones. I didn't think songs lingered very much at all, and I'm not above like having fun with like just successful, like, you know, like or rap albums that just talk about how successful and rich they are, like Call Me If You Get Lost is like pretty like, yeah, we finally made it, and like, you know, a lot of those songs are just like kind of a like flexing, but again, that's balanced out with like genuine emotion and relatable like universal struggles, and like, you know, it isn't exclusively like flexing, and like it doesn't become
even the ones that
it doesn't become like a who cares like halfway through. It's like a consistently like you get much like life, you get a good amount of like fun, and like, you know, you're reminded of why you know, do indulge in like, you know, material wealth and like, you know, crazy trips and stuff. And it's like, but there's enough introspection there where it's like, but is that enough? And I find that a lot more interesting than just flexing.
Yeah, like for every, you know, Lift Off and you know, Fellers in Paris,
Rugrats in Paris.
Rugrats in Paris. There's a Made in America, something definitely reflective, and also has Frank Ocean on it, which I think he does an incredible job in that one as well.
Yeah.
For the little bit that he's in it.
Yeah.
And yeah, just like you have two guys that are top, producers, both producing an album, and the sound I think is really great, and we do get a lot of the sampling again in like an Otis, which I think is probably maybe my favorite track off of here. Maybe that or Rugrats in Paris, for number one for me at least. And specifically Otis has that classic Kanye touch, the cut up sample. I don't know if he's the one who made that one, because Jay-Z is also pretty good at like sampling, so it could have really been either of them. But just two guys at the top of their craft doing solid good music.
Yeah, it does fall under that like easy listening, to where it's while I did enjoy a lot more songs, again, like it does just kind of become fleeting, and there isn't like too much to dig into, or like while the songs are good, again, like if I'm gonna listen to Kanye, I'm pretty much only gonna listen to like his best stuff, really. And this gets to the point where like I kind of struggle to really say anything else about them beyond just like naming songs that I like.
Unlike the last two, which had more of like a thematic through line or a kind of thing he was trying to express, this is just more, let's just make a bunch of good songs. We're collabing now. Let's pop off. Pop off a little, at least with the beat making and the sampling and the but kind of like we said at the beginning, and what you said, just not a lot of lyrical things to chew on or think about for the most part. Again, I think the only one I feel like that gets me that way, maybe like Made in America, like I mentioned, but I'm kind of in the same boat you are. I enjoyed my listen, but there's not much other to say, I guess, than it was solid and the most enjoyable listen, at least all the way through from track 1 to 12, than probably any of the other ones that we just talked about.
Yeah, for as consistent and just well paced this album is, I don't find that any one song reaches the heights of like Devil in a New Dress or And I think it maybe like each of these albums in particular have what I want the other one to have. Like Watch the Throne has pacing. My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy has like showcases like his best rapping strengths and like sampling. And 808s and Heartbreaks has the actual content to make it interesting. And it's just kind of this like perfect like you only have these ingredients to the cake, but like you can't just have like the flour, and you can't just have like the baking soda. So it's like huge important parts to making a delicious cake, but like for whatever reason, like each of those albums kind of just has that like one pretty that one
ingredient kind of missing,
but like
or just doing it in one good category,
excelling in one category. That's I'm afraid that's
again,
all I have to say about
it's just I just don't have much to go off of, because they, like I said, they really don't give you much. It's just a lot of solid tracks and beats, just not with much to kind of go off of after that. And like I said, it just sucks that this was the easiest to listen to, but probably the hardest to really get something out of. It's just a decently solid album with some good songs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's really all I have to say about it, unfortunately.
I guess like overall, like if I were to ever feel comfortable binging like Kanye, like or putting him in my like rap mix, just like without like the guilt of, I don't know, rewarding him for like anything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he apologized. He apologized.
Yeah, this month. But
this
but
month,
just like
yeah.
I would sooner listen to this all the way through than Dark Twisted Fantasy. And
yeah.
That's, I think
or
that
even
that
I'd say
warrants...
like 808's a little, a lot of those.
Yeah,
I'm definitely picking and choosing from those. And this, while I'm doing the same thing, I wouldn't mind entirely if someone just slapped it on, and listened to
it's
it
not
all the
bad
way
for
through.
a party.
I felt, yeah, definitely not. Definitely good for something like that.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for lyrical intelligence and things to think about, this is not what that is. And granted, that's not what it's going for, but just that's what I enjoy more out of music most of the time.
And there's still something to be said about just like, I would argue that like a lot, not all, but a lot of like MF Doom songs are the most are like mostly interesting because of their wordplay, and like they're so creative that like even if I have no idea what he's like literally talking about, which isn't like all he does. Like he has songs that like do have a pretty coherent plot to them or whatever, but like those are held up because of like the insane like not penmanship, what's wordsmith, is that the right but just like word knowledge and like knowing how to like contort them into very interesting rhyme schemes that don't follow a particular rule book that it's like I'm fine with shallow lyrics if like you're doing like something that stands out as set apart from like the rest of the crowd. And while this is certainly like a good standard for rap sonically and like structure wise, I would say that it's just none of it was distractingly bad to me. But I think for those reasons I'll give this one a decent 6 as well. I really wish that this was honestly a pretty interesting album listening experience that I wasn't expecting compared to the graduation discussion, because I feel like there was a little bit of an interesting dynamic between them, and graduation has a like thematic connection, and like those are pretty consistent next to each other. But with this discussion, I'll honestly say that like it was cool to unpack what made aspects of all of these albums work for me personally, beyond just like the general like just like quality of rapping, which I think graduation was so consistent that like I was struggling to like go beyond just like I liked it a decent amount. But like these were like and many other music reviewers are able to unpack those albums in a lot more in depth and knowledgeable way for sure. Like there's I'm not saying like the graduation was like shallow just because I didn't have a lot to say about it beyond just like liking it in general, but this was a worthwhile recommendation for just the contrast between all of these.
And that's kind of the point, I think, of these 3 albums specifically, where he's breaking out of that graduation era, the first 3 albums, and kind of whether you like the directions he's going or not, the growing and going in a different direction from what he was usually doing. And yeah, I have to agree. I think I would also give this one a 6 out of 10. But yeah, like you said, it was interesting to see him post that, or post original trilogy, and just kind of how all of these 3 are just so different from each other.
Mm-hmm.
Though they came out fairly back to back, 2008, 2010, 2011.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just see him start trying new things, though it all does, some of it, most of it maybe doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
It was interesting to see that progression out of the classic Kanye sound and into, again, what he really is kind of making now. Or the sounds he would start to use that would follow him basically the rest of his career.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, this was fun, because I had actually listened to a lot of this stuff a long time ago, and to revisit it and kind of have it change my opinion on how I used to view some of these albums. It was really cool and really interesting, again, just to see the differences, and because that original trilogy is really, like, not only thematically but sonically similar to each other.
Yeah.
And to see kind of the distinctive differences between all these, again, was just interesting and fun. And though I didn't like maybe most of it, it was still good to see a different side and have a different opinion now from when I originally listened to these.
Yeah, it was more fun talking about them than sitting through them.
Yeah, and it was kind of going through them. Yeah. And I think that'll be it for the recommendation. I'm glad you got something out of it, even though it wasn't all positive. And like I said, I swear I'll wait a lot longer. I will. I'm not going to say I'm not going to, because I would be lying. But I will wait a while to recommend the next 3, which I don't remember off the top of my head, but I believe they're a little bit more interesting than these last 3. But like I said, I'll wait. I don't want you to get to not wanting to listen to them.
Yeah, just
or not wanting to listen to Kanye for a while.
Getting stunted.
Yeah.
But yeah, I suppose it's back to me for the recommendation.
Yeah, it's finally back to you. It is Daniel's turn to recommend, and what do you got for us, Daniel?
Okay, so recently I had been getting back into M. Night Shyamalan. I say getting back into, but I hadn't properly gotten into his full filmography beyond Unbreakable, Sixth Sense, and Last Airbender. So I thought, okay, I'll actually go through his entire filmography and actually see the decline for myself. And honestly, at this point, I'd honestly been enjoying myself. I liked Signs a hell of a lot more than I was expecting to, the Visit wasn't quite abysmal just yet. It was a lot boringer, but the next movie that I haven't seen is one I would like to drag you in the shit for forcing me to listen to a Kanye trilogy. So we're gonna be watching. I guess that's fair. We're gonna be watching Lady in the Water from 2006.
Oh boy. Okay.
Have you seen this?
I saw it once a long time ago and didn't feel like ever watching it ever again. But I guess I'm going to now.
Well, yeah, that's it's just timing. It would have been any other, M. Night Shyamalan movie. But the timing was perfect to be like, you know what? I wanted to see this anyway, so that's what we're gonna do, and we're gonna hopefully, get a decent amount to talk about, because
I will at least enjoy Paul Giamatti, because I remember him I remember enjoying him in this movie, and I just enjoy him as an actor, so at least there is one positive out of this.
I want to talk about more bad movies too, and especially like this is significantly different from like what we usually recommend, so hoping for something like out of the box, and not just kind of sucking off movies that we like. So, you
gotta balance it out a little bit.
It's time for us to get sucked,
time for us to suffer. We can't enjoy everything we watch.
So if you want to get in on that discussion without getting spoiled, then watch Lady in the Water from 2006, and
hopefully we'll have it out faster than we had this one out. No promises at all. Can't really promise anything, but we will try our hardest to get this next one out in a timely manner.
So I guess having said all that, do I usually say my name again at the outro? I don't think so.
I don't think so. I don't remember. It's been so long.
Well, hope everyone has a nice Kanye day. And
easy season is approaching soon. I feel it. So, but I think that's everything from us. So, see ya.
Bye.